Hey beautiful people, welcome back to another Vinyasa practice. In this class we're going to be playing in our upside down playground. This is a style of class I've come up with where we practice some inversions. In this class particular we're focusing on our handstand, otherwise known as Adho Mukha Vrikshasana. The pace of the class is going to be a little bit slower than usual, which especially if this is your first time practicing handstand, or if you're a little bit more new to this pose, it allows us to become a little bit more mindful of our body and our breath, so we can work towards this pose with a little bit more consideration and presence. Okay, let's get started on our backs today. If you did have 2 blocks and a strap nearby, feel free to bring that into your practice. Otherwise, if you didn't have it, that's totally fine as well. When you're ready, roll yourself down. Once you get onto the back, just close down the eyes. Maybe your legs are extended out long. Maybe your knees are bent with the feet wide, your knees knocking together. And just allowing the breath to slow down a bit. In this class, I wanted to bring in the theme of tapas. You might have heard me talk about this a little bit if you've done some previous classes with me. But tapas basically means, in yoga philosophy, accepting pain for pleasure. In the way of we have to kind of move through discomfort in order to feel this deeper sense of satisfaction at the end. So I like to think of it as delayed gratification. I don't know if you've ever experienced that desire for instant gratification, the desire to reach out for your phone or to plug something into your ears and just receive that instant boost of endorphins. But it doesn't necessarily leave us feeling really satisfied on a deeper level. The yoga practice encourages this, this delayed gratification where we feel more satisfied at the end. And sometimes we have to move through a bit of physical discomfort, maybe mental discomfort, in order to get there. Take a deep breath in through the nose, fill out the belly, the ribs and the chest. Deep breath out through the nose, maybe starting to constrict the back of the throat to find Ujjayi Pranayama. And this should make a wave-like sound, and it helps to slow our breath down a little bit more. We'll utilize this in our practice today so we can encourage that mindfulness. And before we begin to move, let's take about 3 more breaths here. During our full focus to the breath, to our body, on our mat, wherever you are in your day. We'll start by drawing the right knee up into the chest. As you do this, can you lengthen your left leg out long? Really try squeeze the right knee in, and then maybe you take some semicircles side to side. Just moving the femur bone in the hip socket a little bit more. And then find a moment of stillness. Draw the right knee into the chest, and maybe you stay with the head down on the ground. If you felt like a little bit more, see if you can lift the nose up in the direction of the knee. Maybe the hands stay on the shin, or you could walk your right elbow crease on top of the shin. Hands could reach towards the opposite elbow. And you're trying to squeeze your elbow into the leg to draw the leg closer to you. Deep sense of hip flexion here. Deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, still constricting the throat, making that wave-like sound. Drop the head down to the ground. Grab the back of the thigh with the hands. Breathe in at the bottom. And then as we exhale, extend the right leg up to the sky. Inhale to bend. Exhale, lengthen. Inhale, bend. Exhale, lengthen. Inhale, bend. Exhale, lengthen. Let's go one more. Inhale to bend. Exhale to lengthen. Once you get up to the top, can you draw the right toes down towards you so you're flexing out your foot here? And maybe the hand stays behind the back of the thigh. You can always walk the hands up a little bit further as long as you're not forcing this position in your body. One more breath here. Deep stretch through the hamstrings, maybe the calf muscle here. Bend the right knee, take a deep breath in. As we exhale, cross the right knee over to the left, twisting the spine. Right hand reaches out in line with the right shoulder. And maybe you look down your right hand here. Let's go one more breath. Come back through center and we'll swap it out. Left knee pulls up into the chest, right leg out long. And maybe you say more in stillness, or maybe you take a little circle from side to side. Just being really kind to our body here, not rushing these movements. And then find a moment of stillness. Squeeze the left knee in a little bit more. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you lift the nose up in the direction of the knee. And you can stay here again, or maybe the left elbow comes up on top. Right hand reaches towards the left elbow, and you'll really try squeezing your shin in a little bit more. Take one more breath here. And then slowly release down the back. Hands behind the back of the left leg, breathe in at the bottom. And then as we exhale, lengthen your left leg up to the sky. Breathe in to bend. Exhale to lengthen. Let's go two more. Breathing in to bend. Exhaling to lengthen. That's the rain coming in. Breathe in to bend. Exhale to lengthen. Next time your leg is at the top, hold here. Can you draw the toes down towards you? Push the heel up, soft bend in the left knee, and maybe the hands stay behind the thigh. Maybe you walk the hands up a little bit higher onto the calf or the ankle. Just make sure the shoulders aren't lifting too far off the ground. Can you squeeze them down a little bit more? One more breath. Bend the left knee, right hand around the left thigh. Breathe in, left hand extends to the side. As we exhale, drop the left knee over to the right. Come back through center. Extend both feet up to the sky. Bring the hands down by your sides. Can you flex your feet here? Your knees might still be quite bent, or they might be a little bit longer. Take a deep breath in through the nose, palms facing down. As we exhale, slowly start to lower the feet. You might still keep them quite high. What you want to feel is the lower back towards the ground. So you only go as low as you can maintain that control through the core. Once you've found that position, maybe you stay with the head down on the ground. Maybe you lift the head up, lifting the shoulders off the ground. You're trying to reach your hands kind of beyond your feet. Finding a little bit of flexion through the spine, tucking the ribs in the direction of the hips, broadening through the collarbones. Make sure your feet aren't too low here, no lower than 30 degrees. Let's go about 2 more breaths. And then slowly lowering yourself down to the ground. Really nice. Grab the backs of the legs. Roll yourself up. Cross your legs over. Find your way into a tabletop position. So bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. And from here, we're going to practice a couple of shoulder protractions and retractions. Okay, so what that means is as we protract the shoulder blades, you almost want to imagine you're puffing up through your upper back. So you're pushing the floor away from you, you're drawing your shoulder blades apart, and then as you retract, it's the opposite way. You're squeezing your shoulder blades together, you're dropping the chest down a little bit, you're still getting strong in the arms. Let's try that again. So breathing out as you protract, breathing in as you retract. Breathing out, protract. Breathing in, retract. Let's go 2 more. Exhale, protract. Inhale, retract. Exhale, protract. Inhale, protract. So you can retract. Sorry, my words. Now you can stay on your knees. If you felt like a little bit more core activation, walk your feet out so you're in a high plank position. Spread the hands really wide here, so the fingertips really wide. You've got a big gap in between each finger. Engage the glutes, shift your shoulders forward. Inhale as you retract the shoulder blades together. Exhale as you protract your shoulder blades away from each other. Inhale, retract. Exhale, protract. Inhale, retract. Exhale, protract. Let's go 2 more. Breathe in. Breathe out, make sure hips are staying in line with shoulders. 1 more, breathe in. Breathe out. Slowly start to bend the elbows, Chaturanga Dandasana. Elbows tuck in by the ribs, come down onto your belly. Untuck the toes when you get down to the bottom. Squeeze the glutes, roll the shoulders back, lift up the chest. Take a deep breath in through the nose, lifting up. And then as you exhale, lower yourself down. Push up onto your knees. Travel your hips over your heels for child's pose. Arms reaching forward. So that shoulder exercise that we just did is going to be really important if you ever wanted to try handstand. Okay, shoulder engagement is a huge part of being able to support your weight when you get upside down. Okay, walk yourself back, and this is where we can use a strap. Okay, if you didn't have a strap, you can also use something like a towel. You might also be able to do this without a strap as well. What we're going to start with is having the right hand up, trying to bring it in between the shoulder blades, and you might stay here. You might have the left hand on top of the right elbow, or you might bring the left hand behind the right. Now, if they don't quite meet, this is where you can use a strap. Bring it into the right hand, left hand coming behind, and then slowly with time, you're going to walk your hands up until they meet. If they do meet, then of course you can lose the strap as well. Okay, once we get there, can you push your head back a little bit so you open the chest, but tuck the ribs in towards the hips so you get long through the spine. Start to lift yourself up onto your shins. Keep the hands clasped like this. Shift your weight into your right knee. We're going to start to lift the left knee off the ground. See if you can hover it off, but know that you can always touch the toes down. Find your balance. And then take a big step forward with your left foot. Lower your hips in the direction of the ground. Okay, open the chest up. Take a deep breath in. Push through the left foot. Lift the chest up. As we exhale, soften the hips forward. Push the head back. It's super windy outside today. Big storm. Release the hands. If you had 2 blocks, feel free to bring them in. Frame out your front foot. Tuck onto the right toes. Breathe in. Shift your hips back. Long pyramid pose. Exhale, hold. If you didn't have blocks, you can have fingertips on the ground here. You might also have your hands up a little bit higher onto the shin. Soft bend in the left knee. You're thinking left hip back, right hip forward. Let's go one more breath. Breathe in as you lift your chest up a little bit, strong through the back. As we exhale, step your right foot forward, feet hip width distance, tuck the chin into the chest, Uttanasana, forward fold. Relax through the upper back, legs are long here. Use your next breath in, hands to shins, lift halfway, shoulders in line with the hips. As we exhale, ripple down again, Uttanasana. Let's do that 2 more times. Breathe in, lift halfway. Exhale, ripple it back down. One more, breathe in, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Lift all the way up to standing. Take a deep breath in. Arms come up and over the head. Tadasana, hands come by the sides, mountain pose. Turn the palms forward, soften the shoulders down. We want to find a little tuck in of the ribs to the hips, okay? That's going to help lengthen the spine. And if we think about it, Tadasana, mountain pose, is pretty much handstand, but just the other way. So finding the alignment from the ground up. Breathe in, lift your arms up, Urdhva Hastasana, upward hands pose. Exhale, bend your knees, fold forward, Uttanasana. Lift halfway, breathe in. Exhale, hands down, step back into your plank position. Breathe in as you retract your shoulder blades. Exhale, protract your shoulder blades, push away from the ground. Inhale, retract, one more time. Exhale, protract. Hold here for your breath in. As we exhale, Chaturanga, tuck the elbows in, option to come halfway. Cobra on the ground or Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog on your breath in. Engage glutes. Exhale, maybe child's pose, or if you want, downward facing dog, coming up and over your toes, pushing through your hands, bending your knees, lifting your hips up and back. If you're in down dog, bring your knees down to the ground, sink your hips back over your heels. We're going to try that on the other side. So, left elbow comes up on top. If you had a strap that you wanted to use, you can absolutely bring that in, dangling it behind your back. This side's a little bit more challenging for me. Right hand comes behind. Lift yourself up onto your heels once you get there. Sorry, up onto your shins. Shift your weight into your left knee this time. And we're going to find that balance again. So lifting the right shin off the ground. Keep pushing the head back slightly, little tuck in of the ribs to the hips. And then when you're ready, step your right foot forward, soften the hips forward, but keep your arms where they are. So big stretch for our hip flexors, the spine. Take a deep breath in. Can you lift up a little bit more? Maybe push the head back slightly. Exhale to hold. Squeeze shoulder blades down the spine. If you have the strap or hands, just release them. Blocks might come either side of the right foot. Tuck left toes, lengthen the legs. Long pyramid pose here. Left heel is off the ground. Can you think right hip back, left hip forward? We should feel quite a strong sensation down, maybe the right hamstring, maybe the right calf. I oftentimes find this, I get this sensation in the front of my right foot as well. Use your next breath in, lift up slightly. As we exhale, step forward, Uttanasana, forward fold, tuck the chin into the chest. Just one time this time, breathe in as you lift halfway, long spine. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Lift all the way up to the sky. Take a deep breath in through the nose, arms up, press the palms together. Exhale, hands by the sides, Tadasana. Breathe in as you lift up. Exhale, fold forward. Lifting halfway, breathe in. Exhale, hands down, step back into plank again. Just one more time with these retractions. Breathing in, retract, knees can always be down here. Exhale, protract. One more, strong core. Inhale. Exhale, push up. Hold for your breath in, start to shift your weight forward, come high onto your toes. Exhale, chaturanga, tuck the elbows in by the ribs. Inhale to pull through your back bend of choice. Roll the shoulders back, lift up through the chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Or child's pose, whatever feels good for you here. We're going to use that sequence as a skeleton and then add on a little bit. When you're ready, lower the knees down to the ground. Sink your hips back over your heels. Use the strap as you need. Breathe in, lift your right hand up. Bring it behind your back. As you exhale, maybe the left hand comes behind as well or on top. Start to lift yourself up onto your shins. Breathe in as you shift your weight into the right foot. Lift up the right knee. Lift up your left knee. As you exhale, take a big step forward with your left foot. Shift your hips forward. Breathe in as you open the chest. Lift up. Exhale to sink. Blocks if you want. Frame out your front foot. Tuck right toes. Breathe in. Lengthen the legs. Purvottanasana or Pajvottanasana. Exhale, hold. Oh my goodness, it is wild here today. Hands come down either side of your front foot. We're going to change this up a little bit. Sweep your left toes back and up, three-legged dog. Deep breath in through the nose. Then as we exhale, bend your left knee, bring the foot close towards the glutes. Okay, really try squeeze it in. Left shoulder in line with the right, but you're lifting your left knee up as high as you can. Hold here for one more breath. Looking back at your right big toe. Use your next breath in, start to roll forward, left knee towards the nose. As we exhale, step the left foot in between the hands, standing splits. Move your fingertips forward. Breathe in as your right foot lifts up. Exhale, hold. Hands can always be on blocks here. Start to bend the right knee. Bring the foot close towards the hips. And maybe you stay here. If you felt like a little bit more, you could try reach your left hand towards your right foot. So bring your right ankle down a little bit. Try find the left hand around the ankle and then lift your right knee up again. Okay, trying to lift it as high as possible so that we can feel a really big stretch through maybe the left hamstring, the right hip flexor. If you want to challenge your balance even more, you could see if you can hover the right hand off the ground for a moment. If you've got the bind, just release it. Hug the right knee into the right rib. Can you tuck your chin into the chest, almost like you're rounding your nose towards your knee? We come up to stork pose. If you can, try keep the head down. Curl yourself up. Right knee lifts as high as possible. Imagine like you're trying to stamp something on your forehead with your knee. Take a deep breath in. As we exhale, right foot plants down, Tadasana. Really nice. Breathe in as we lift the arms again. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Lift halfway on your breath in. As we exhale, hands down, step back into your plank position. Breathe in, shift forwards. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, your back bend of choice. Exhale, child's pose or downward facing dog. Take 2 more breaths at the back, getting really mindful of our breath and our movement. And then lowering your knees in the direction of the ground. Sink yourself down. One more time. Left hand comes up. Breathe in as you take it behind. As you exhale, right hand might come behind as well, with or without the strap. Lift yourself up onto your shins. Shift your weight into your left knee. Breathe in as you lift your right knee forward. And then as you exhale, plant it down, shift your hips. Inhale as you open the chest. Exhale, hold, big opening for the shoulders. This is what we need in our handstand. Release the hands, maybe onto block or fingertips on the ground. Tuck left toes, breathe in, hips back. Lengthen your right leg. Exhale, hold. Right hip back, left hip forward. Plant the hands down onto the ground. Keep the left toes tucked as you sweep your right toes up. Deep breath in through the nose, three-legged dog. As we exhale, let's bend the right knee, bring the foot close towards the hip. You might try to lift the right knee up a little bit higher. Maybe the right hip rolls out slightly, but see if you can align the right shoulder in line with the left. Use your next breath in, start to roll yourself forward, right knee towards the nose. As we exhale, step the right foot in between the hands. Shift your hands forward, standing splits. Left toes sweep high, deep breath in. Exhale to hold. Remember, hands can be on blocks here as well. Start to bend your left knee, bring the foot close towards the hips. Maybe you stay here, or right hand could try reach towards the left ankle. If you do manage to get the bind, see if you can kick up into it. Maybe you stay here, maybe you try hover the left hand off the ground for a moment. And then if you do have the bind of the left foot, just release the hand down to the ground. Curl your left knee in towards the left rib. As you do so, can you draw the chin in towards the chest, look towards your left knee, start to push through your right foot, keep the curl of the spine as we make our way up into stork pose. But we're still trying to bring our nose down towards the knee. Imagine like your left knee was trying to stamp something on your forehead. Deep breath in. Push away from the ground with your right foot. Exhale, land the heel. Tadasana, mountain pose. Breathe in, let's lift the arms. As we exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Lifting halfway on the breath in. As we exhale, hands down, step back into your plank position. Breathe in as you puff up through your upper back. As we exhale, Chaturanga, tuck the elbows in by the ribs. Inhale, push away, open the chest. As we exhale, maybe child's pose, maybe downward facing dog. From this position, look forward, either walk your feet outside your hands, or you bend your knees, take a little hop, lifting your hips along the way. Malasana, garland pose. So you bend your knees, try sink your hips towards the ground. Now, if you wanted a little bit more support, you can grab your block and sit down on it. That might help you lengthen the spine even more. Try squeeze the shoulder blades back. Push the knees out with the elbows. And if your heels are off the ground, that's totally fine as well. Let's go one more breath here. Use your next breath in. Lift your hips up. As you exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Walk your feet hip width distance. Tuck the chin into the chest. We come into a toe stand. Bend your knees. Sink your hips down towards the heels. Heels come off the ground. Now you can keep the hands down for support, or you can try lift up until the shoulders stack on top of the hips. Now maybe you just kind of hang down here and chill a little bit. If you felt like a little bit more, see if you can lift your hips off your heels about maybe 1 centimeter, maybe 2 centimeters. And just notice how that little lift really challenges kind of the strength of your quadriceps. How the quads and the calves have to activate even more here. Okay, we're gonna slowly rise up into a modified chair pose. Take a deep breath in through the nose, slowly come up. Try not to rush that bottom process, reach your hands out, exhale, hold. Keep the heels off the ground if you can, breathe in. Breathe out. So draw the shoulder blades back, hips are back slightly. Maybe try to keep the heels off the ground. You can always bring them down. Come into warrior 3. Shift your weight into your right ball of the foot, or the whole foot if you'd like. Hands sweep behind. So if you're wanting a little bit more support, land the right heel down. If you wanted to challenge your balance a little bit more, lift the right heel off. If you want a little bit more standing splits, dive the chest down, lift the toes up a little bit higher. You can always bring the hands down for support. Let's go 2 more breaths here. Long step back into a high lunge. Tuck onto the left toes. Breathe in as you lift your arms above your head. Exhale, sink into the hips a little bit. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Little tuck in of the ribs towards the hips. Take a deep breath in through the nose. As we exhale, twist to the right. Left hand reaches forward, right hand reaches back. Can you draw the shoulder blades away from the ears? And if you wanted to challenge your gaze, see if you can turn your eye gaze towards your right thumb. Look down to the ground. Left hand is going to come down, right hand up. Take a deep breath in. Can you spin the chest to the right? Twisted lunge. Exhale, hold. Now you can always hit the left knee down for what we're going to do next. We transition to side plank, but I encourage you to take about 3 breaths to get there. So if you're on your toes like me, lower your left heel down, slowly pick up the right foot, engage the core, try to keep the right foot off the ground the whole time, and maybe just step the right foot back next to the left. If you wanted to find wild thing, take the right foot behind, left leg stays long, you lift your hips up, engaging through the glutes, right hand reaches forward. If you're on your left knee, right foot back, or you can still find a similar wild thing position, opening the chest up to the sky. Look down to the ground, right hand touches down, take a deep breath in through the nose as we exhale your vinyasa. So that sequence that we've been doing before, you move through in your own time, connecting the breath with the movement. We're just going to move through that sequence one more time. Coming back into our tapas, accepting pain for pleasure. Sometimes moving slow can feel really uncomfortable or slower than usual. Notice if that's you today. And know that's okay. Just observe it, try not to judge it or bring any attachment to it. Use your next breath in. Either walk your hands outside, your feet outside your hands, or bend your knees, look forward, take a little hop. Malasana again. Now you can absolutely stay here. If you wanted to practice crow pose, what you'll do is you'll lift your hips up, walk your feet in, come high onto your toes, hands come down about shoulder width distance. Spread the fingertips really wide so you've got a big gap in between each finger. Elbows come back. You're going to try bend the knees so they land to the back of the arm. Look underneath the head. So we're aiming for the kind of the bottom of the arm here. I like to stack my knees on top of my elbows because the elbows create a little bit of a shelf. You're really just stacking joints. You might keep the feet down on the ground. You can also lift one foot up, maybe the other foot up as well. You want to feel the protraction of your shoulder blades here. So the puffing up through the upper back, getting more engagement through the core, the shoulders. And if you are playing, just come down, back into Malasana. Lift your hips up, breathe in, Uttanasana, feet hip width distance. Exhale, fold. Toe stand, bend your knees, hips towards the heels come off the ground. Remember, you can keep the hands down on the ground for support or lift the chest up, roll the shoulders back. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you try lift the hips off the heels 2 centimeters. Start to reach the arms forward. Let's take about 2 breaths to get into our Utkatasana, our chair pose. Don't rush the bottom bit. Once you get to this bent knee position, take a deep breath in. Maybe you keep the heels off the ground, warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3, shifting the weight into the left ball of the foot, maybe the whole foot as your arms sweep back. Hips and shoulders square with the ground. Engage the back of the shoulders, the back of the leg, and if you felt like a little bit more, you could try dive the chest down a little bit more. Maybe the right foot picks up. Fingertips could come down on the ground here for support as well. One more breath. Long step back with the right foot. Land the left heel down. Lift the arms up, high lunge. Exhale, hold. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Take another deep breath in. Back leg really long. As we exhale, twist to the left. Right hand reaches forward. Left hand reaches back. Keep bending into the left knee. Twist the ribs around. Maybe you look back towards your left thumb. Look down to the ground. Breathe in, right hand comes down, left hand comes high, twisted lunge. Exhale, hold. Squeeze the shoulder blades back. And remember, you can always bring the right knee down as we transition into Vashisthasana side plank. If you're with me, right heel comes down. Remember, we want to take about 3 breaths to make our way there. So lift the left foot off gently. Slow transitions sometimes makes it a little bit more challenging than faster transitions because we have to be so much more active and aware. And you could just stop inside plank, hand under shoulder, or you can take the left toes behind you for wild thing, lifting your hips up, engaging the glutes. One more breath. Coming back down through center, left hand plants, breathe in. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale to open. This time, ground the knees, hips back over the heels. Child's pose. Okay, let's play. Walk your hands back towards your heels, your knees. Either stay with your toes tucked, or if you want a little bit more, tuck the toes under, making sure that all the toes come underneath so we get a good stretch through the back of the feet. We're just going to clasp the hands into fists and roll out the wrists. So I'll provide lots of different options for how we're feeling today. Now you can absolutely stay in a seated position or find anything else that feels good. Another great option, you can release this whenever you want, is to come into a puppy pose, keeping the hips on top of the knees, getting the chest close down to the ground, arms reaching forward. Now, if you're kind of like an in-between, you might just play with 3-legged dog and then switch. If you wanted to try some hopping, what you'll do is that you'll step your foot forward, kind of like in between 3-legged dog and standing splits. You'll come onto the toes, the heel is off the ground, spread the fingertips wide, and what you might do is just take a couple of little hops. They might not be big, they might be really small, and they might feel really heavy. Once you get a little bit more confident, you might start to push through the bottom leg a little bit more. I didn't realize there's a plant up there, so I'm touching my toes on it. And then you might, so it's a mixture between pushing through your bottom foot and kind of kicking up with your top foot. Okay, you might take a little switch in the air. And you might be surprised and find the balance at some point. You can join in whenever you're ready, but the basic kind of anatomy here is that you want to try to get your shoulders stacked on top of your hands and your hips stacked on top of your shoulders. So just like we did it in Tadasana, a mountain pose, we want to find that really long spine where we're stacked, because that is how we're going to be able to find balance and find strength a little bit easier in our handstand. So keep going until you find there. And you might fall over, you might crash, you might head plant, face plant, and that's the whole part of the fun, and that's how our body learns. If you wanted to keep playing, I so encourage it. Just pause the video and go for it. Going up and against a wall can help you feel more confident. So if you have something like that nearby, absolutely go for it. Okay, team. Come down into a seat. Cross your legs over. And before we move, let's just close our eyes for a moment. Sit up really tall. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Let it go through the nose or the mouth. A couple more breaths like this. And if we've noticed the mind kind of wander off a little bit, just observe that. Notice where it's gone to. And then see if you can encourage it to come back. Coming back to the breath, coming back to whatever's happening in your immediate space right now. As you're ready for it, begin to open the eyes. We're going to head down onto our backs. If you wanted to put on a jumper, if you had something like that nearby, feel free to. Also just bring a block nearby if you had one, or a pillow or anything else. Just leave it to the side of the mat. Roll down onto your back again. What we'll do is that we'll hug the right knee in, but take your left hand around the right ankle. You want to try pull the right ankle towards you and then push the right elbow into the right thigh to move the right knee away from you. So you can kind of imagine pigeon pose here. Another great alternative to this position is just finding a reclined figure four, where your left leg comes behind the right ankle and maybe you have your hands behind the thigh. If you felt like a little bit more, what you can do is slide the left knee behind the right. Okay, lift the chest up, right hand comes around the left ankle, and then pull your head back down. So if you know cow face pose, Gomakasana, it's pretty much the same thing, but we're reclined. Pulling the feet towards you, pressing the knees away from you, getting into the deep outer hips. And if you've got hands around both legs, just release them. Maybe you keep your right knee crossed on top of the left. You can even wind the right foot behind the left calf if you wanted to find like eagle legs. We'll take a twist here. Deep breath in, right hand reaches out to the side. As we exhale, cross the knees over to the left. Kind of dropping the knees down, keeping the right shoulder planted. And then coming back through center, we'll swap it out to the other side. So left ankle comes up, right hand holds onto it. Maybe you just push the left knee out with the elbow, the left elbow. You could stay here. You could try get the right knee behind the left. Lift up, take your left hand around the right ankle, and then lower yourself down to the ground. Remember that figure 4 is always there for you as well as you need. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Unwind the hands around the leg. Maybe you find the double clasp, left foot behind the right calf. Let's find the twist. Left hand reaches out. Drop the knees over to the right. Coming back through center. If you've got the block, feel free to bring it in for supported bridge. Land the feet behind the hips. If you don't have a block, you'll just simply lift your hips up and hold. Otherwise, if you do have a block, lift your hips up, bring it on whatever height you'd like. I often like the second height, just underneath your SI joint, your sacroiliac joint. Okay, so it's a big kind of flat piece of bone that connects the spine to the pelvis. You're not super high up on your lower back. It's down a little bit more, and that just helps us support the weight of the hips. Feel free to keep your knees bent. You could always extend the legs out a little bit longer if you'd like. That felt supported. Sometimes it feels nice to reach the arms over your head. And closing the eyes down. Slow, deep breaths. Stay here for as long as you'd like. You could even spend the time that we lie in Savasana. You could absolutely stay here for that. If you wanted to lie down onto the ground, then just walk your feet back in if they were extended. Lift your hips up, move the block to the side. Lie yourself down in any position that feels comfortable. Letting the breath slow down, and maybe you feel that deeper sense of gratification, the satisfaction. Once we've kind of worked through the body, worked through the breath. Knowing that we have to sometimes challenge ourselves and find discomfort in order for us to feel this deeper sense of satisfaction. We'll just be here for a few minutes in quiet together. I'll let you know when it's time to transition out. Just starting to bring some awareness back to the breath. Back to the body. If you would like to stay in Savasana longer, feel free to lie down here. If you are ready to transition out, just wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingertips. Maybe shimmy the hips side to side, move the legs, move the arms. How good does this feel? Just how good? Taking in these moments. When you're ready, we'll start to find our way up into the seat. Maybe grabbing the backs of the legs, rolling ourselves up. Let's lift up really tall. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Let it go. Thank you so much, everyone, for moving with me. I love these kind of classes, slowing down a little bit, but we still get to play and have fun. If you loved it, let me know. If you wanted to support this channel and wanted to explore some longer classes like this one, feel free to check out our Patreon account. I'll leave the link down in our description, but that's where we get to connect a little bit more over the net, because most of you guys are not in New Zealand, which is really cool. Anyway, I'll see you on the mat sometime soon. Much love to you.